All right, welcome everyone to Behind the Cueball, formerly the Player Spotlight. I am sitting in the booth with J Fed, they call him, Mr. Jeremy Fedkenheuer. Welcome very much to Outer Points Productions booth, Jeremy.
Thank you for having me.
As I mentioned, the new series is called Behind the Cueball. Once we get down to the final 8 or final 4 players, depending on the amount of players at the beginning of the tournament. So this is a little story about Jeremy Fedkenheuer. So if I'll let you kind of take it away. For the people who don't know Jeremy Fedkenheuer, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the game.
Sure. Been from the Madison area my entire life. I just turned 21, and I actually went to a local bar in the forest, Swan's Dive, and just decided to throw my quarters up on a table one Friday night, and the guy that played me actually broke and ran, and I had never watched that before in my life. And I enjoyed the people there. There was a lot of good personalities that showed up every Friday and Saturday, so I decided to start showing up every weekend and just shot pool with him.
Do you remember who that person was by chance that ran the table on you?
Larry Eisenhart. I do.
Have you seen him since, or
I have.
did you see him
Yep.
after that?
Yep, I have. Yep. Yeah, he shot pool quite a bit in the area, and then he came over to the house actually. Well, it's been a few years ago now, but yep, he's still in the area.
Nice. So if you look at your game, who would it be, Larry Eisenhower or somebody else that you would consider your biggest influence?
Actually, I have a lot of people. I have a lot of people that have just helped me, small steps along the way, to be honest with you. Larry was the one that, kind of got me started with pool. I had Al McCready. I'll bring up his name. He sat me down, months into my shooting and showed me how to do a proper bridge. Most players don't think the bridge is important, but it he could see that was my struggle, and he helped me with it, and that was a big piece of advice, as a young player, kind of learning on my own. And then, throughout the years, I've just had little pieces of advice given to me. I had one lesson done actually with Tyler Steyer, right here in this building, for the break. Actually, my wife bought it for me for a birthday gift. Got me a few hours just working on my break with Tyler, and that has made a big difference in my career.
I guess describe that, Jeremy. What made such a difference between the way you were breaking before and what Tyler taught you?
Almost everything about the break he taught me. I felt like I was always a good shooter coming into that, and he just made me realize how much I didn't know about the break.
That says a lot.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it's just about how the rack looks, the different types of racks, talking about the consistency of every break stroke, where you want to hit particular breaks, how hard, how the rack reacts to a break. I mean, it's just a lot of different things I just never took into play when I was practicing before, to where now it's something I worked on for the past few years, and I feel it definitely shows.
Okay. So prior to even a match like tonight, do you have any pre-match rituals or routines that you go through?
Honestly, I just rack the balls and break them. I do that. I try to do it for at least an hour prior to a match. I'm lucky I have a table at home, so days before I try to shoot, even if it's a half hour, whatever at home. Literally doing just that. Just gives me a chance to work on the break. Gives me a chance to work at kind of real game situations. I'll practice safes if the rack allows it. Obviously run out is my power, but it just depends on what the rack does. I feel like it just gives me all around good practice.
So that seems to be a very popular answer with most players. They just throw balls out on the table and start banging balls around. There's a select few that will, bank shots and cut shots and stuff like that, or spot shots. But for the most time, that's the typical answer. So what over, say, the next year or two, I mean, you're right now at a 717 Fargo, right?
Correct.
Which is professional level. What kind of goals do you have for yourself over the next year? Do you want to improve and continue to get better and better and better and play competitive against some of the pros, or
Yeah, I mean, if the opportunity presents it, excuse me, I'm self-funded, so it's one of those where I have a hard time traveling. So you don't see me playing out of state a whole lot. Um, I do want to, improve. My goal has always been to try to stay in the top 100 in the country. I actually tapped that for a few weeks here. I don't know, 4 years ago, something like that. And I haven't been able to get back there since. But that actually is probably my next goal, is trying to top that top 100.
Okay. So, having said that, what would you say is the part of your game that you're the most confident about right now that'll get you to that 100?
I think overall my shot making. I don't feel like there's any shot on the table I can't make. It's just more about consistently making them that's kind of holding me back. Yeah, seeing the ball well is hasn't been a problem for quite a while. It's just being able to do it on every shot.
How old are you, if I may ask?
46.
46. So I noticed you had to, put on some readers.
Yep.
Wait until you hit 50, then you're going to be saying that same question again, seeing the balls
Right.
a little better. Trust me,
Right.
I know. All right, so let's go to the opposite side of the coin, Jeremy. What's your biggest weakness in your game?
I think at this point, definitely consistency. 9 times out of the 10, I feel like I hit the ball really well. But it's that 1 time in 10 that is the one that really kind of takes me out of the contention and beating some of the top players. They don't do that. They make that error 1 out of 50, 1 out of 100. Whatever you want to mark it as, and that's the thing I have to work on, is just being able to eliminate those simple errors.
All right, so if you looked at your past, what would you consider your greatest victory or your biggest accomplishment in the game itself?
I would say the one I'm probably most proud of would be the invitational tournament at Ho-Chunk. I don't remember what year that was, 5 or so years ago.
But yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I played Sergio in the finals, and he got up on me 7-1 in a race to 11, and everybody had pretty much wrote me off at that point, and I was able to still keep my mental game in it and bear down, and I ended up winning, I think, 11-9 when most people thought it was over. So I mean, that to me was a mental win more than anything.
And you played against the pros in that as well, didn't you? During the CSI event?
I had.
You
Yep, I think it was a different event, but I had played in the Predator, actually a couple of the Predator tournaments that were at Ho-Chunk.
Okay. Here's a question you didn't get to see. If you could play, and this is relative to golf, if you could play in a match against 3 other players that you consider, I guess, your pool idols, who would they be?
Right now, I would have to say Shane, Fedkenheuer, probably Albin Ocean. There's something about his game I enjoy watching.
Nice, yeah. That's a pretty good 3. So if, as a 7-17 Fargo, is there any advice that you could give to a lower-rated Fargo player, 550, 575, that you would see as the most beneficial to help their game?
I think, to be honest with you, I think it's the same as what I'm working on. The game is all about consistency. I think golf and a few other of the sports are the same thing. It's all about hitting the shot the same way, getting the response out of the cue ball you want, in addition to obviously making the ball. And if you can consistently stroke and have that same, stance, same bridge, same back arm and forearm, everything, that just makes it easier to be consistent. That's something a lot of people I don't think work on. They're just up there banging balls without purpose. And if you really stop and think about what you're doing on every shot, I think that'd be the biggest help.
Working with Tyler and Margaret as much as I do here at Varsity Club, obviously our house pros, that seems to be, and one of the things they taught me is pre-shot routine. It's the same every single time, and I've noticed watching your game over the years, nothing really ever changes. It's very consistent. It's always the same, so it's robotic.
Yep, and it's interesting you say that about, especially about Tyler, is that was one of the things that I really picked up on from the lesson I had with him. If you watch me break and before I break, my routine is exact on every break. Just something to watch. I mean, down to when I touch my chalk, where I put my chalk. Yeah, pretty much everything until that break stroke is almost identical.
So I'll put you a little bit on the spot. Obviously, being, you know as well as I do, you're the player to beat in the Ultimate KO 10 ball. Does that add any pressure to you at all? Or is it just another tournament, I guess?
Yeah, it's another tournament for me. I don't feel that kind of pressure, to be honest with you, no matter what tournament I'm playing in.
Do you now that I just said it?
No,
I'm just kidding.
no, not really. I mean, the biggest pressure I feel with this that's kind of makes this format unique is the clock. Giving up the weight that I do depending on the match, like that first match I played, giving up 5 games and only having 45 minutes to do it. That was my first time ever playing this format.
That's brutal.
That's the part. The spot doesn't bother me. If I have to overcome a 5-game spot, I can do it. But can I do that in 45 minutes? That was the interesting part of that match, and then tonight's going to be the same way. I think I'm giving up 3. If I remember right.
Yes.
Same thing against a player I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen him shoot in my life. So that's probably the only unknown that I have. But for the most part, shouldn't change what I do. I play the table. I don't pay attention much to who I'm playing. I know I have a race and I work to get there.
That's one of the things that I admire about your game, and I try to emulate as in my game as well, is the fact that I don't care who I'm playing. It doesn't matter. Because if they're sitting in the chair, their name doesn't matter anyway. So.
Right. Yep, exactly.
Well, Jeremy, I greatly appreciate you for your time in the Behind the Cueball series, and I wish you the best of luck in the tournament, and maybe we're going to see you in the finals.
All righty. Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thank you.